So you were in the Vietnam War?
Yes, I was.
When did you first hear that the United States was involved in it?
In Vietnam? Late 1950s.
What did you think about the United States being in Vietnam? Because there's been a lot of opposition from the people to being in Vietnam, because there was also a bunch of village raising and hurting the civilians in there too.
Yes, there was. It was a different era. We had the draft going on then. People didn't want to go into the service. And it's hard to explain, but to me, it was kind of a messed up deal. The way we didn't know who we were fighting. The Viet Cong would be like, you would be a Viet Cong person, and I'm sitting here, we're talking and visiting and getting along, and then that night you come and try and kill me. We didn't know who they were. We always said that the pajama people, they wore the black pajama suits and stuff. And after I went, because I'm patriotic, I enlisted 8 days. But I had a plan. I enlisted 8 days after high school. I was gone, and I actually was trying to get a career out of being in the service. I wanted to be what was known as a flight engineer at the time. I was a jet helicopter mechanic in the Marine Corps. And when I came home from Vietnam in 1970, that job was being gotten rid of in civilian life. So I had to find a new job. But and I learned more about the war after I got home from it. I read about it. Even though I was there and this and that, and I don't think we should have been there as a country. If you read your history about Vietnam, during World War II, the United States asked a man named Ho Chi Minh to help us fight the Japanese, who were invading mainland China and Southeast Asia for more territory. And Ho Chi Minh said that he would help us fight the Japanese if we would guarantee him free elections after the war. And we said, okay, we would. Well, Vietnam was a French colony at the time, and America was in bed with the French. I've always been in bed with the French. And so when he asked for free elections, and there was the McCarthy era was going on. Do you know anything about McCarthy?
Yeah.
The anti-communist thing and stuff. That was going on, and so the United States was dead set against it. And more or less the French were fighting them on their own from trying to be communist, and then we got involved trying to help the French. But we lost a lot of people for both sides. The people I wonder about now is I have Agent Orange from Vietnam. It's a chemical that causes cancer. And what about the people that are still there? The people that live there, the Vietnamese people. What's it doing to them? I think about that quite a bit.
Do you think maybe the war did anything, or do you think it just did nothing, or did it not do anything that
it wasn't done properly as far as I was concerned? I'm just a nobody as far as people in the military go, but it was the people that were running this country at the time would not let us do what we needed to do to win the war. They were afraid that the Chinese would get involved, and invade. And the sad thing is I was a Marine, and I fought in the only losing effort by the Marine Corps in the Marine Corps' history. We never totally won it. We didn't win it. And but in fact, before I came home, I went to Vietnam in July of 1969 and came home in 70. It was to the point where we were flying in our helicopter and we would take fire. Bullets would start hitting our helicopter and stuff. And we had to request permission to return fire, which was really foolish to me. When people are shooting at you, but you're not going to shoot back. It was more politics than anything. So that's what I didn't like about it. I'm one of 68 guys still alive. There's 3 of us out of 68 that are still alive. The rest are all dead. Did the same thing I did. We all went to Vietnam together. And more chemicals killed them. More Agent Orange. Cancer killed most of them. There's probably maybe 15 of them on the wall in Washington, D.C., the Vietnam Memorial. The rest all died from cancer. I feel bad for those people that are still there, more than anything. I guess kids are being born without arms and legs now from the chemical. They'll be born and they won't have a leg. That's it. Otherwise, I did my share. I did what I thought I should do. It was scary coming home to this country. When I came home, I had a 6-month-old daughter, and my wife met me at the airport. I had my uniform on, and my wife handed my daughter to me the first time I held her, and a lady spit on me in my uniform. There was a big anti-war protest going on here, and it wasn't good. We didn't get any support at all. And most of us, well, like I was a B student in high school and I couldn't get a college deferment to avoid the draft. I couldn't go to college first. And my number was so low, I was going right away. That's why I enlisted right away. So they put you in now it's, believe it or not, I think it's harder to be in the military now than it was for me then, because people that are fighting in like Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran, all these places, these people are reservists or regulars, and they don't have a stipulation on their time out of the country. When I was in Vietnam, I was there 12 months, and I came back home for at least 2 or 3 years before they could take me out of the country again. These guys keep going back and back and back and back. I don't like that. But that has to do because there's no draft.
If you knew how the war would have played out, do you think that would have affected your decision to enlist?
No. I come from a family of Marines. We're all Marines. My dad was in World War II in Korea. My dad was one of the frozen chosen. And if you read about that in history, the chosen reservoir, they carried their dead out frozen. Their bodies were frozen solid, and they carried them out, retreating. And so that's always been in my mind. It was a difficult war. It was because we didn't have any support here. I actually got a book that I had signed by Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary, and they were writing protest folk songs. And I went to get this book. I liked their music at the time. It was protest music, but I liked the music. And I went to get this book and have it autographed, and he kind of gave this little speech before and about how proud he was of the anti-war work that he did, you know, and his music and stuff like that. And he didn't like it when I got my book up there and he was going to sign it. And I said, your music was great. I said, but your music didn't work. They took it out on the people that were fighting the war, not on the people that were sending us to the war. They took it out on the soldier instead of the people that were running the country at the time, which was a bad thing about it. Most of us were just dumb kids doing what we were told to do.